Hello everyone and thanks for joining us today. This week we're featuring an orphan make that has been out of production since 1966. Many of our subscribers and viewers may not even know what a Studebaker is. Or maybe they do but don't realize that during the 50s and 60s some very impressive cars were built during their American-based production before moving their operations to Canada for the last 2 years. The company built some very formidable cars that could compete with the best of their competition at the time. Now these cars are highly coveted by collectors in the know. This week's feature is a beautifully restored 1964 hardtop Lark Daytona model. But the McCulloch Supercharger on top of that performance Studebaker built 289 makes it even more special. So sit back and enjoy the story of this fine example of a performance car from an unlikely manufacturer.
Good morning. I'm Walt Jazwinski, and I have a 1964 Studebaker Daytona two-door hardtop. It originally was a V8 when it left the manufacturer. Automatic, open rear end, bucket seats, and a console. And the reason why I bought it is, and that was about 12, 13 years ago, because it had an R2 engine in it. And that's really what I was wanting because of the performance. And so I bought it, took out the engine, and I had another 289 that I took in trade. And so I put it in the car and drove it, and it just wasn't to my liking. And so I decided that I wanted to increase it horsepower-wise. So I had another engine that it was bored 30 over, and it had half-dish pistons, and it was rebuilt, just sitting ready to go, and it had R2 heads on it. So I took out the other 289 and inserted this one, and then started adding things like power steering, power brakes to make it more fun to drive. And at that point, I had the transmission rebuilt, and changed it to a positive traction rear end. Added disc brakes, and it came along nicely. During the interim, I had the body taken down to bare metal, and it was painted two-stage. And at that point, I decided that I wanted to definitely have it supercharged, and so I added that little option. And it had dual exhaust originally, so but I did add R3 headers, and added the R3 fuel pump, or excuse me, R2 fuel pump and water pump, and it pretty much evolved into that. I did have some issues with it vapor locking, and so I had to do away with the regular R2 fuel pump and added an electric fuel pump, and that seemed to cure that problem. Because here in Arizona it's so hot, air conditioning is is pretty much a necessity, and decided to look into that. And I found that there was a Canadian machine shop that was manufacturing a bracket that you could have your cake and eat it too by having the air conditioning and the supercharger. So I had the vintage air added, and now I have the best of both worlds, a little bit of performance and some nice cool air. The interior was obviously done. It is an on-frame restoration, but anything that it needed to be replaced or rebuilt had been done. It's got an electronic ignition, aluminum radiator, heavy duty fan, heavy duty shocks, heavy duty sway bar. So it's very much mimics what they called a super Lark, which was manufactured by Studebaker, but there were only about 57 R2 Daytona two-door hardtops ever produced. So this is a tribute, more or less, to those.
Say hi, Walt.
Hey, how's it going? It's only about a mile away. It's just...
This is awesome. What a fun little car.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's really a nice size car.
It is. Sounds good.
Thanks. It does have a 700R automatic in it because the rear end is a 373 positive traction, and when I had the regular Borg Warner automatic in it, at 50 miles an hour the thing was screaming.
Yeah. It's so cool that you drive it as much as you do.
Well, I would like to drive it more, but I finally got the issues with the vapor locking squared away by going to an electric fuel pump. It's pretty much done. Now that I got the bugs worked out of it, I will be driving it more. Since I've done this, it's got less than 1,500 miles on it, and so it's pretty much ready to go. My Lark, the way it's set up now, probably would dyno at a little more than 300 horse. Normally they were 289 cubes and 289 horsepower, but that one's got a little bit of a cam in it and a bigger pulley and a little bit heavy duty supercharger, so the horsepower does go up a little bit. But it's amazing how many people never even heard of Studebaker.
Even though I'm very familiar with Studebakers and the quality and dependability of their products because I had a friend in high school with a '59 Lark, it's always fun to see them. Of course, many people are most familiar with the sporty Avanti because it lived on for decades in several configurations from other specialty auto companies. But there are many other cool cars that came out of their plants in South Bend, Indiana, Los Angeles, and other locations. What did you think of this sweet white sleeper? Do you have any memories of a Studebaker? Or which one is your favorite? Let us know in the comments.